Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
It is Steve, and Dr. Alice Benton is with me, and Chris Williams is going to be with me, and Chris was with me last night. Hi, Alice, by the way.
Hello.
Chris was with me last night, and we did a webinar on depression, and it was a little depressing to me because I got to tell you, 90% of the people that were on that, we had over 500 people sign up for it, but most of the folks that were on there, it wasn't about a family member. It was about them. Mm-hmm. And, it just shows how little progress we've actually made in the area of depression. And it's huge and it's big. And, it's so interesting because one of the things I was talking about was if you are a person that, has felt like the other person needs to change and you can be happy. And you go from thinking that person, okay, they're great 1 minute and they're not the next, and you hate them, and you love them. We were talking about medication that, that's kind of a sign that your problem might need something more than just waiting for this other person to change. Because in the process of them not changing, sometimes we deplete all of our resources waiting for them to change or trying to overpower things or make it happen, and then we get in trouble. So I was trying to make the case of sometimes somebody has a problem, then you create a problem within yourself even bigger than their problem. I didn't communicate it well anyway, but I think the rest of the Chris's part and Becky's part is pretty good. Anyway, we're going to do more, and depression is just a small slice of what we talk about at Finding Freedom. And so we've got Finding Freedom coming up June the 13th. Chris and I'll do that one, and I hope that you will sign up and come and be part of that with us, because I think it could be pretty spectacular for you if you've been struggling a lot. Today, 1-800-229-3000. 1-800-229-3000 is the phone number. If you want to join us, we're on Facebook Live right now. You can tell somebody to join us there, or later you can also get a copy of that webinar for no bits amount of money. It's free go to newlife.com. We'll get it to you free, and I believe it's worth every penny that you have to, since it's free. It's worth every penny of that. I think you'll like it. And please do that. But look into Finding Freedom on 13th. It's a webinar also, and it's one day, and Chris and I are going to be doing that. I'm going to go right to the phones, 1-800-229-3000. Here's Kay from Dallas, Texas, KWRD. Hi, Kay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. What's going on in your life today?
First, I just want to say thank you for your program and incredible wisdom, insight, humor, and balance you have provided over the years. So thank you.
Take your time, and thank you for starting with that. That makes me want to really listen to what you have to say.
That is fantastic that you're going to listen. I'm pleased. Okay.
Yeah. I can be manipulated very easily. Yeah. What's the question for us going to be?
The question is, what is the best thing I can do to help my three sons who are 20, 16, and 11 as they watch their dad battle cancer?
Oh my goodness, what a sad thing. And I'm so glad you called. We're going to give you some help with that. We'll hear a little bit more about the individual struggles that they have, because everybody approaches something like this in a little different way. You're listening to New Life Live. Dr. Alice Benton. Chris Williams may show up, but he may have just been so drained from the webinar last night he can't get out of bed. I don't know. We'll be back after this. 1-800-229-3000.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Very sad way to start our program, but so glad that you called us, Kay. So 2016-11, and what's the prognosis for their father? How long does he have to live?
That is an unknown. We've been fighting this since last year. We really, they didn't give us any hope from about October to February. In February, they did give us hope. The oncologist said that he was optimistic. And then last week, they were supposed to do surgery to remove the tumor. And the surgeon came out and said, it's too, it could be catastrophic if I attempt to remove it. And so they closed him back up. And I said, give me some reality here. How long does he have? And his words were, he may have a year. And he said, at the second consult, he said, I don't like to lose. We'll try immunotherapy. So the way I feel about that is the Lord is the Lord. I have my eyes wide open. He has as long as the Lord gives him, whether that's one day or 30 years. I don't know. But that's what the medical people are telling us.
Okay.
And that's
Now,
what we're looking at.
All right. So with your sons, which one is having the most difficulty with it? I would assume it would be the youngest, or not?
It changes from day to day. It literally changes from day to day. It's very hard to know how to talk about this story and to know, because a lot of the things that my husband does or did have not helped the matter any, so there's been a lot of instability. I do believe that
What does that mean? What he did hasn't helped?
I don't want to get into it because I don't think it's healthy, and I don't know who's listening on this radio station. I will say at this point he is willing to listen to the Lord, and that hasn't always been there. And y'all have been a mighty part of helping, so thank you for that.
All right.
So, yeah, and it just changes.
I get it.
My oldest with work struggles from not always, but from time to time. The middle one is deep in faith. They're all believers. And the little one, at times, I think he does have the most difficulty processing it, because I think it just hits him and he doesn't really know what to do. And I told him one night we were talking, and I said, there are people who've lived for decades that have trouble dealing with this. I said, it's hard. There's just no way around it. And I quoted part of Psalm 46. I said, the Lord will be a refuge for the oppressed. Well, what was it? God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in time of trouble. And I said, what that means is that he will be there when we call. He's there. And I said, I know it's hard. I get it. And I sat there and prayed for him, and I watched his little face just relax and smile, and he went to sleep. So I don't want to over-spiritualize things, but we got to have some hope here, too. You know, I can't figure out how to balance letting them. Where's the grief? Because I've grieved hard now. I had to grieve for years, and then I've grieved for months, and now is the time of. It's just different, just hard to know. It's just
well, let me just make. I want to make one quick comment.
Sure.
You don't want them to have false hope in a healing or recovery that might not be there, because that's a really tough way to live. You know, what you want, and I go back to this, my word of the year is acceptance. You want to lead them to a place of acceptance that this is in God's hands, that this is one of the tragedies of life: pain, suffering, struggle, loss, death, and that God is there for him and God is there for them. But it's almost like if you say they need some hope, like, hey, God may step in here and heal, then you got to deal with that all over again. And maybe they were right at that point of starting to understand, God doesn't fix everything. And then you get them back on that track of, oh, wow, maybe Dad's going to have this miraculous recovery. That's just a kind of a superficial, off the top of my head, thought there of how to lead them. Alice, what are you thinking about how to handle this?
I
Go ahead.
absolutely do not do that to them, because over the months, there's just been absolutely no way to know. I mean, at each stage, they would start to do a treatment, and then something catastrophic would happen again with his health. And so they would ask me, and I would have to sit down with them when they cried, and they would say, what is going to happen? I said, I don't know. I don't know. I said, I do know, no matter what happens, the Lord is still good.
There you
I
go.
know that, but I can't, and I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It's not my hand.
You are up against so much. This has been dragging out for a year. It's so tragic. It's sad, and at times your husband has made it even more difficult as you're trying to help him and care for the boys. So this is complex. You're in a very tough situation, and I think you're already doing so many good and right things. You're being cautious to both bring the Lord in, but not over-spiritualize it. And I think you're right, that can be a risk. We can also get too stuck in our heads about it and stay at an intellectual level. So the fact that you have grieved and you've comforted your boys, there's great hope there, and you're doing the right thing with that. I want you to continue to share your emotions, naming them, letting the boys know that it's okay that they have permission to be angry, sad, hopeless, confused, to not know, like you just said, giving them permission to talk and to feel with you, but also holding boundaries with them so that they're not acting out in their anger or their upset or the ongoing loss and the unknowns. So I know that some parents can be pulled into being too permissive because they are overly compassionate for what their children are going through, versus, of course, being compassionate, but also holding to the boundaries and the rules to keep the home safe, and that will help your kids feel safe as they go through this.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're making it
that's
safe
very
for them to say anything, question anything, but never permission, to take it out on you. But, if someone does kind of lose it a little bit and take it out on you, then, now when you get out of the moment, you can help them look at that and why and how you understand, but that you don't want to have to deal with that every day. Here's something else I would say. I would say to them that you, in and of yourself, are confident in the future. That just seems like that's a kind of a silly message maybe, but it's a really important message. You're not worried about the future, no matter what happens with him. Now, there may be concerns and things like that, but here's what I would say. I hear the strength in your voice, and I know that isn't everything. But I believe, just listening to you a little bit, you're the kind of person that whatever is going to come your way, you're going to figure it out. I mean, it doesn't mean that everything's going to be wonderful, but it means you're confident that the family pulling together, you with the friends, associates that your faith, the power of God, you'll be okay. You'll figure it out. And so if you can express confidence, even though you might be a little worried about this or over here you're concerned this might happen, but you're confident that you do have a path with God that's going to be okay. I mean, it may not be in the same house or driving the same cars or whatever, but if you can express that confidence, I think it's important for boys to see a mom that doesn't feel like I'm going to be helpless without him, because that now they've got a burden of a mom and they got a burden of losing their dad. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense because he has always supported us for about the last 20 years, and I have not worked. And so all of that is shifting. And quite frankly, I'm glad for it. It's healthy. But that is so, what you're saying is so incredibly validating. And that is almost, some of the things that you said are almost verbatim what I've been telling them.
Yeah.
And I'm just struck by the Lord has provided a group of people in the church that I go to. And that was part of what was wrong with the church that my husband attended. It's really hard to even know how to verbalize it. The things that came out of it were awful. I attended somewhere else, and I have been so blessed. It's just crazy. And at this time, those people are reaching out to all of us. And for the Lord to have already surrounded me with people like that, I'm sure not doing it by myself.
Well,
yeah, I'm really grateful.
I'm glad to hear that you're not by yourself. Now, Chris Williams has found a way to drag himself in here. And, Chris, we've got a dad dying, a husband dying of cancer, don't know when, and 3 boys. If you knew that you were not going to be around for your son, what would you be saying to your wife about your departure and your life going forward, her life going forward with your son that you're not going to be there to raise? What would you say?
Well, Steve, let's jump into the deep end on that. My goodness. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. That would be a tough one.
I was going to say, he just walked in the door.
Well, Kay, let me first off just say that I just wrote down something you said because I think it's critically important. You said the Lord has provided people. My goodness, we need that message more and more, and we need to be people who show up as answered prayers and look for people who are answering prayers. Because, as we say all the time here at New Life, connecting with others in healthy relationships, God does immeasurably more than all we can ask or imagine. But, Steve, I think above and beyond anything else, it would be, I would want my boys and my wife and us to rally around the fact that as an earthly father, my time will end. And God willing, I hope it doesn't end anytime soon, obviously. But there is a heavenly Father who is good, who is perfect, who is caring, who is loving, who will get us through anything and who is always with us. That is the core message, the heart of the message that I want my boys to connect to over and over and over again.
Yep, and we talk about this, Kay, all the time. We've got the COVID virus, we've got rioting in the streets here, and now you're dealing with the loss of your husband and the raising of the boys, and I just hope and pray that if you need some help, that you will get it, that you won't feel guilty or weak if you need to get some ongoing counseling here and help with them. And I would also say to them, if they ever want to talk to somebody, you're going to find somebody other than yourself for them to talk to if that's what they think that they need. I really am glad that you called. I'm going to send you this little grief workbook and the Life Recovery Bible with it. And here's what I think might be beneficial to you is that, if you look at it, and I don't know if you're willing to work through it, it can really be pretty amazing. But I think if you do kind of read through it and work through it, you'll find a few things to pass on to them because it is just full of great wisdom there. And Dave Stoop put it together, and I love what he's done there, and I'm going to send it to you. Anybody else, you can order that. All right, let's go. I want to take another phone call here. I want to go to Rachel from St. Paul, Minnesota. She listens on the website. Rachel, how are you today?
Hi, guys.
Hi.
I'm doing well. I'm on a walk.
Well, great. We're glad to be with you there. Be sure you keep your distance from other people.
Yeah.
How can we help?
So I'm calling. I have been knowing a guy for about 4 months now. We've been engaged for a month. So we got engaged after 3 months. And I've been experiencing doubts for the last month. And we put our engagement on hold a week ago. And it's been a source of stress for both of us.
Okay, I got to ask you a question. Why would you get engaged to somebody you had only known for 3 months?
Well, I think I come from a charismatic church where they had super, super quick engagements. It was kind of the era of kiss dating goodbye. So it was kind of like ask for a word from the Lord. So at some point I felt like this was the right thing and he was the right one. So, and I know he knew that I was the right one for him, so he asked me pretty early on. And he didn't know I was going to say yes, and it was the night before that I felt like I was going to say yes, so I said yes. And then I've been freaking out a little bit ever since.
Okay, so we're going to go to a break, and while we're at this break, I'd like you to think about answering this question for me. Tell me the 3 biggest sources of your doubt now that make you kind of question the direction that all of this is going. And I'm so glad you had the courage to say, hey, let's stop in midstream.
Divorce shattered my family. I was very confused about my feelings, which are guilt, shame, and anger.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. I'm just wondering if you're feeling stuck and you're hiding behind a mask, or maybe you're ignoring some pain and you're just not wanting anybody to see the real you. Well, Chris Williams and I are going to be doing the Finding Freedom Workshop. It's a great place to discover how to live a life of freedom, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You'll learn how to overcome your painful past and recognize the habits and behaviors that can lead you to the life God intended. It's time to get free from the rut you're in and experience transformation in your life.
Join Steve Arterburn and Chris Williams for the New Life Finding Freedom online workshop Saturday, June 13th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. We're talking with Rachel, and a lot of times you come back from a break, I don't even remember what I asked the person. If you've ever tuned in very much, you've seen that over the years, but I've gotten better. And what I asked Rachel to do was, what was it? The 3 main things that she could point to that caused them to kind of slow down and say, whoa, let's just take a second, look at everything in this fast engagement we are in. So what were those things there, Rachel?
Sure. I'm going to try to be as honest as I can.
Well, I love that because as Christians, there are a lot of people that don't. They try to be as dishonest as they can without anybody knowing it. So thank you for trying. Let's see how you do.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of prayers that God, if this is you, if this is good, then the faith would come, and the doubt has persisted. So it's like I'm looking at my feelings and taking inventory and thinking that the uncertainty is still there. Sometimes the doubt's still there.
Over
so
what?
A lot of it's over him, over the relationship, over it being right.
Why? What? That's what I'm trying to get at is why would you have any doubt? I mean, you get engaged, it could just be one positive new insight into him after another that wouldn't cause doubt at all, but that hasn't happened. So can you give me something specific that you go, what's that about?
Sure, yeah. I think his anger, I think his personality is just really strong, so sometimes I have a hard time knowing how to react. I think we're 8 years apart, so he's very decisive. He's a leader, And so I think that sometimes I feel maybe steamrolled, and I wonder if I can be myself in the relationship.
Real quick here before I turn this over to Alice and Chris. Leader. What does that mean to you? He's a leader.
I guess in the typical sense, he's like dominant and decisive and can be, he like moves forward quickly. I think that's why the engagement has gone so quick. I kind of like it that he's passionate to win me.
Or control you.
This is first.
Whoop! What did I say? I'm sorry. Did that slip out? When you said win, did I say control? Oh, I was going to do that later in the call. I am so sorry that slipped out there. Chris, Alice, what are you guys thinking here?
Rachel, I have to admit, controlling is also the worry that's on my mind. If you're already seeing worrisome signs of this man's anger in the 4 months that you've known him, when he's probably putting his best foot forward, then you have every reason to put some brakes on, to think about your concerns, to get feedback from other people that know you and that know him and can either validate, he's a great leader, or his leadership moves into an unhealthy dominance and control over you, and he doesn't handle his anger well. Do you think anybody that knows him might describe him that way?
His family's really close, but I've never had the guts to ask them about him.
Well, they probably wouldn't tell you the truth anyway, because if he's strong and domineering and controlling, they're not going to want to experience his wrath. Now, let me tell you what you could have said when I asked you about concern about him. You could say, he just doesn't seem to have all of the things I'm looking for in a guy. Like the fame, fortune, present, all this. And then we could have helped you lower your expectations kind of thing. So you could have said something and we'd have had a different, that kind of thing. But what you said was probably the one thing that I would say could be kind of the worst thing you could say. And that is the anger thing. Because let me tell you, there is no question, I say it 1,000 times, people quote it back to me 1,000 times. The best foot is forward. And if you respond to his pressure, steamrolling, controlling you, moving you closer to him, getting engaged before you can find out who he really is and make it more difficult for you to back out. Let me tell you, with all of that there and that best foot, if you see an ounce of anger, there is about a 5-pound bag of it underneath there. That's my belief. Now, what do? I think you say to him, I don't want to just stop the engagement right now, but I want to tell you my concern, and I want to see if you'd be willing to do something to work on it. Your anger concerns me. Let's say you have 10 things about you. There are 9 things that I think are spectacular. But this one thing is something that isn't going to get better on its own. It'll get worse because I'm going to disappoint you, frustrate you, and life's going to be hard. Would you be willing to get some help with the anger that is bothering me? If he says yes, I'm going to call a counselor today, and also maybe even you and I could get some premarital counseling, even though we're charismatic and maybe we don't think counseling's necessary, we're just listening for what God wants. If he had that kind of attitude, you've got some hope here, Rachel.
And Rachel, what Steve is talking about, I want to make 3 things crystal clear for ingredients that are necessary for strong relationship and marriages. Number 1, as you tell him your concern, does he have self-awareness? Is he aware that he has struggles and difficulties? Does he have humility? So number 2 is humility to receive feedback, and number 3, a willingness to grow. Those are the things I want you to be looking for.
Pretty important. I'm
Awesome.
so glad that you called, and we're going to go to a break. We'll come right back for more New Life Live. If you want to join us, 1-800-229-3000.
For For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. It is 1-800-229-3000. You can join us, and we'll be in the studio for an hour and a half. And before we move on, Rachel, I just wanted to see what you're thinking about what we've been saying.
Yeah, I appreciate your talk. I think that I tend to focus a lot on myself and my issue in it and wondering if I'm hypercritical. He has proven that he can be humble and willing to change, and I think that's why I've stayed in it. I've addressed other things in him, and he's been willing to change. I think it's just that you know somebody for 4 months and you wonder, you know, is it really going to happen? Is it lasting? So I appreciate your responses, and we have been seeking counsel, premarital counsel. So
yeah, and I'm hearing a little bit of self-awareness on your part that this could be you're just really afraid, anxious, maybe expecting too much, that all of that. But again, if his anger is really oppressive, even though he's trying to work on it, if you do feel like he's kind of railroaded you into a quick kind of engagement, things like that, you really should be sure you're listening to some other women your age or older and getting their opinion. Don't just be around his family, bring him around all your friends, okay?
And Rachel, we think you're very brave and wise in asking this question and putting these brakes on, because we get the bulk of our calls from people that have been married for decades and struggling with their spouse's anger. So for you to be doing something about it now, and his response to your concerns is so informative to either give you hope to move forward or to even step further away. So I'm glad he's responding well already.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to send you a little book here. I'm going to send you two. Larry's in the studio, and but I'm going to do it anyway. One is this the one? And the other is How We Love. And I'm just going to beg you to pull out How We Love and look at the styles that you guys have, the attachment styles that you have, what you're putting together. And it'll give you some great insight of why you're attracted to each other, but also how this is most likely going to play out, or often plays out, in a relationship. Well, Larry, you are in the studio. Let's talk about some things. We had a webinar last night. Really loved doing that for the folks. We've got Finding Freedom coming up, Every Man's Battle, another one coming up, and so many things we're doing for folks. It's online, and all the while we're just so aware of the struggles that people are involved with, and we're so grateful for those that have helped us during this time.
Well, Steve, you said something the other day, and we got to keep talking about it, I think, and that is, we have this matching gift, and we say every dollar you give, it was doubled. But think about it, if every person whose life was changed became two people whose lives were changed.
That's right.
And if at workshop we had, 100 people and their lives were never going to be different, what if it was 200 people? And that's what the giving will do. Those kinds of things will happen. So we need your gift and support to help double the effect as well as double the money that's coming in so that we can double the effect. So help us with that, please. And, Steve, I didn't bring a testimony on purpose. I wanted to ask you to give me one memory of a testimony of one of the best things you've heard coming out of New Life. Just one.
Well, I remember one of the most famous testimonies that really gripped me was a man that literally hated the mother that gave him up for adoption. And before our time together was over, he came to see her as a hero who, number one, didn't abort him, but number two, she gave him up because her mother, who was severely mentally ill and abusive, her mother had given her up, and it seems that she had kind of inherited the same kind of problem her mother had. And so when they reunited, she wanted a relationship with her son because she had gotten so much better. She had found the right medication and therapy, but he hated her. But before it was over, he found a way to see her, to reframe her as his hero, and they then forged a relationship together. That kind of transformation is why New Life is here. It's not so we can tolerate people better or get by, but we're here for transformation, and that's always been our goal. Not feel better, but change the source of where our feelings come from. Not to go talk to somebody about something, but to talk on a foundation of truth in a redemptive relationship that changes everything. So that's my testimony that I remember, one that I remember most.
Thank you. So folks, if you can support those types of things, please help us. Make a gift, however you want to do it. Online, by text, by texting 28950 in the word match, or just send in a check in the mail. Call us at 800-NEW-LIFE.
Yeah.
So thank you.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Let's go to Mary. She's calling from Washington, D.C. Hi, Mary. How are you? We see that city on television every day now, and just wondering how you're doing.
Hey, I'll tell you how I'm doing. That's why I'm calling.
Okay.
First of all, love you guys. And I am a monthly supporter.
Thank you.
I want to talk about the grieving.
Okay.
I'm a black woman. I love the black family. I am in the D.C. area. Of course, what happened to Mr. Floyd was very far away from me. But I see him as a brother, a cousin, a friend, a family member. I don't see him just as some guy. I feel this deeply because then there was Breonna Taylor, and all of us, black folk in the D.C. area, we know somebody named Breonna. We know people named Taylor. We know that face. Not just that, but this has gone on for years and years and years. I think of, I grew up in the city of Alexandria. The Confederate statue came down yesterday morning, and I thought, as far back as, my great-grandfathers lived in the city of Alexandria. Then we have my great-grandmother. We don't know how long she was there, when we first came to Alexandria.
Yeah.
I think of my father and my grandfathers and how they would not be allowed to voice an opinion of what they felt about that statue being in their city. But now we have the freedom to speak across racial lines and have these discussions. And so we live in a great day that we can have these discussions. At the same time, I want to hear you on, I'm going to, just finish my story. I don't really have a question. I just need the consolation. I need to hear you guys. I need that little piece of healing that you might be able to offer regarding the grief. Then I go to a multiracial church. The pastor there is black. We have lots of Central Americans who go to that church. And, of course, we have a population of white people who are there loving and supporting and partnering with us in ministry. Then I have other very dear, loving, close friends in Virginia who are very starch, conservative, evangelical. I've loved them for many years. They can't. Not all can hear the pain, the words they use. Like I said, I see the black family as a family, not just as some guy. I see the rioters as having a right to riot. I see the looters as our children need leadership, guidance, love, healing, trauma therapy. That's what I see when I see the looters.
Okay.
When they come from the black family.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just wondering if you happen. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Lastly, I facilitate a recovery group that I call Christ in Recovery, meaning that doesn't matter how deep you are in your addiction, your dysfunction, your underfunctioning, wherever you are in your path in life, Jesus is saying, no, I'm with you, and I'm walking you toward healing. So, and I use your materials. We're about to use your Overeaters materials. I need to hear a voice of healing right now.
Okay. All right. Just curious, did you happen to hear the program on Monday?
No, I didn't.
Because we literally, almost the entire program, we talked about this, and I want to talk about it some more with you. And one of my African-American sisters said thank you so much, and it really moved her, so I want you to hear that program too.
Divorce shattered my family. I was very confused about my feelings, which are guilt, shame, and anger.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. I'm just wondering if you're feeling stuck and you're hiding behind a mask, or maybe you're ignoring some pain and you're just not wanting anybody to see the real you. Well, Chris Williams and I are going to be doing the Finding Freedom Workshop. It's a great place to discover how to live a life of freedom, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You'll learn how to overcome your painful past and recognize the habits and behaviors that can lead you to the life God intended. It's time to get free from the rut you're in and experience transformation in your life.
Join Steve Arterburn and Chris Williams for the New Life Finding Freedom online workshop Saturday, June 13th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the Transformation Welcome Gift, which includes a personal-sized Life Recovery Bible, a Life Recovery Journal, and 5 Life Recovery Workbooks. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops.
I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's been immensely helpful to to me. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and Mary, I just want to say this to you. I do hope you'd listen to that program. You can get it at newlife.com easily. But I want to say this. I agree with you. I don't think a lot of people, or there are people that are in the white community that really don't get it, and they're now more focused on the riots than they are. There's an injustice in this country, and we really have to deal with that. And I quoted Pope Paul VI, who said, if you want peace, then you need to create justice. And I really believe that. And I think that the folks that have never thought this through fully don't really want to look at the reality of how difficult it is to be a person of color.
And I think that that's really important. Mary, thank you for calling in. We need to hear you. Mm-hmm. We need to hear your grief. We need to hear your pain, and we need to hear your experience. In fact, why I was late into the studio today is because I was in conversation with some of my colleagues, a couple of African-American females, one in particular, and I'm going to post that conversation on Facebook and LinkedIn later today because it's so important. I want you to know that though our experience is really different, your pain is real. It's not something that you're making up from identity politics. It's real. The other thing is that your fear is real, and that your need for healing and health is also real. And that's, and I sometimes, even as a white American Christian male, feel sometimes stuck. Like I'll say the wrong thing, I won't do the wrong thing. But here's what I learned this morning: the best thing that I can do is listen, is to hear you and trust your experience, and so that we could move forward together. And you and I are doing the same work. We're helping people who are suffering from the oppression of addiction find healing and health. And certainly we want to come together to help people suffering the oppression of racial injustice come together and create that healing as well. So I just wanted to share that with you and just thank you for calling in and let you know that we hear you. And we want to come alongside you in this process.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say, Mary, before we go?
I just want to say thank you, and also I just want to clarify that I did not mean to say they have a right to riot. They have a right to protest.
Yeah,
okay?
Sure.
And, but thank you for hearing my story, and the pain is generational. And my father and grandfather, they wouldn't even be allowed to talk about this.
Well, you mentioned that statue, and I really think, Mary, just that so few folks fully grasp the pain a Confederate flag can cause, or a statue like that, where, that if you're on the side that you're on here, and your heritage your family has been so hurt over the past, these things are hurtful reminders, and a lot of folks don't understand that, and I feel for you there. And even me saying this, I think there are probably people that would criticize me for saying what I just did, but that's okay. I really do believe the call for all of us is to compassion. Alice, you have a thought here?
Mary, I think you are an example to be followed. Sister, you are a light in a dark and broken world, and you're piecing together so many things that we try to teach here at New Life, that you have grown in your own relationship with Christ. You're leading others. You give hope as you talk about how far we've come. that things are different and in many ways better than what previous generations of your family had experienced. For you to be able to bring that into this conversation, and then also to make your needs known, to ask for support from us in a healing voice. But I also hear you talking about being selective, that you recognize there are people that you try to connect with that are not able to at this point. And so you look for it elsewhere. You're doing so many things that bring light and grace to people around you. Thank you for what you're doing, Mary.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I really am glad that you send you this Bible that I love, this Restoration Bible. And it is, in fact, if anybody wants one, I'll send it to you for free. And here you could get one. You could email me your address at stevesocial@newlife.com. stevesocial@newlife.com. If you want a comment, I'll read everything that gets sent to stevesocial@newlife.com. But I'll send you a Bible for free. And it's a great study Bible and devotional Bible based on the acronym RESTORE. So I'll do that. But thank you for calling, Mary. And I know you express the same feelings that a lot of folks feel. I was saying in our devotional time today that I really do hope, I think this, that we might be seeing a shift. Mm-hmm. I know, I don't know of anybody. No one said to me anything other than that this 8-minute video was horrific, and I haven't heard anybody in the past few days say it was anything but murder. But what I'm also hoping is that we're seeing the reality come to the surface that it's still not fair. It is not fair for somebody to have to take his daughter and a little doggie to walk in their own neighborhood. It's not fair that whenever a young man of color is pulled over in their car, that they have to be afraid. It's just not fair. And so I was reading a story today of a man who his son there had been a crime. His son was in his car. Someone said that a young black man had committed the crime. They pulled him over, they handcuffed him, put him on the ground, and he literally did not know if he was going to be alive or not. When that whole ordeal was over, he was compliant the whole way. Now look, that's trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma upon trauma. It takes its toll. And I'll tell you this, when I look at the faith of those folks who were enslaved and the treatment that they had, the mistreatment, but they created the greatest songs of faith. Yeah. They worshiped God. They dressed up on Sunday to worship God. I just don't know if I would have been that faithful and courageous. And so we want to honor all who have had to struggle because of a system or any kind of mindset. So, I talked about it Monday. I'm doing it again because it's important that we look within ourselves and ask ourselves, is there an attitude that I need to change? Is there an action I need to take? Someone talked to me about this plan that on this particular Sunday, they're going to encourage all people to go and worship at a place where people are of a different color. That a black church, they'd come worship with folks at the white church, and white at the black, and yellow, and whatever. They're just everywhere it's going to be. Tan, green, every color, just mixed up. And I said, you know what? Why don't we also encourage them to develop a friendship? That it's not just a one-time event, but you grab the hand of somebody and say, hey, let's get together for coffee this next week. And maybe that becomes a Bible study, and now we really get into the lives of each other. That's when we're going to see some healing. All right, couple of things before we go. Come join me for Going Deeper, 5 o'clock on Facebook Live. It's 5 o'clock Eastern. Join us for the next program, 1-800-229-3000. And call us if you can help us or if you need help. We want to help you. This is not easy during this time. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And my thanks to the callers, to Chris, and to Alex.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for watching New Life Live on our New Life YouTube channel. You know, you can see it anytime. Hope you'll subscribe, and when you do, hope you'll turn that little button thing on, the bell, so that whenever we post a new video, it'll ring right through. Now, if you go to newlife.com, you'll see the schedule of when we're in the studio, which is helpful to know if you have a question for the program, or you could go to newlife.com or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could do this on the app. I mean, there's so many ways that you can stay in touch with us and know when we're there, because we want to answer your questions. So thanks for watching right here on the New Life YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Click here to subscribe.